everybody, and thanks for joining our weekly podcast. I'm Robin Lewis, founder and CEO of the Robin Report, which, by the way, we view as much more than just a daily report. It really is a knowledge platform from which we communicate a lot of thought leadership on various strategic topics through the reports, but also these podcasts. And we do webinars and hopefully live events, when the whole COVID thing leaves us. Anyway, along with our chief strategist, Shelley Kohan, who also, by the way, is a professor at FIT and Syracuse University, we welcome you to our conversation on the topic of returns, creating a better shopping experience. Yeah, I know it sounds kind of like an oxymoron, but today we have a great expert in the field of doing just that, using returns to actually create a better shopping experience. So we are honored to welcome Steve Prebble, CEO and president of Appriss Retail, which is a company that is truly an industry leader in retail customer experience solutions. Appriss Retail Commerce, provides real-time decisions and active risk monitoring to enable retailers to maximize profitability while at the same time managing risk. The company is a global base of leading commerce partners, representing 1/3 of all U.S. omnichannel retail sales across 150,000 retail locations across specialty apparel, department stores, hard goods, big box, grocery, pharmacy, across the board, and hospitality businesses, I might add, in 45 countries on 6 continents. Awesome and kind of a mouthful. Apris itself is so well known and actually a dominant force in the loss prevention area, but Appriss Retail is so much more than merely loss prevention and data collection and analytics. And Steve, I know you have a lot to do with the expansion of Appriss as Appriss Retail Commerce and the current direction of the company, which is improving the complete omni-channel shopping experience. And thanks again for joining us. And so tell us a bit more about the benefits you guys are now providing the industry.
Indeed, yes, thank you. Well, thank you, Robin and Shelley, for having me here today. Excited to be having this conversation with you. I've been at Appriss Retail for about 3 years now, and what excited me when I joined was really the opportunity to lead the next phase of our evolution and our growth. And it was already a business that had been built over almost 2 decades, and as you point out, Robin, in the loss prevention and fraud mitigation space. Mm-hmm. Now, my background is I've worked for several retailers in the US, the UK, and in Asia in various leadership roles, and also been involved in retail data analytics businesses in promotions, market share measurement, loyalty. So a lot of retail experience to bring to that. I'm also equally proud to be leading a very talented team of folks with very rich and deep retail expertise and technology expertise as well. And to your point, we've gone way beyond now mitigating just risk and fraud. We are solving omnichannel risks and helping retailers maximize profitability through what we now see as just better customer engagement. And omnichannel has grown largely because of the shifts in online purchasing that the pandemic accelerated. We all saw that massive shift back in March, really 2020. But with it's come a lot more complex set of new problems to solve for, from not just mitigating fraud and abuse, but importantly, as you point out, ensuring a better shopper experience. We do that with a lot of powerful artificial intelligence and machine learning, and our data science team build models that we're continually optimizing and training. And we look at a 360 view of the shopper. That's a critical and important part of what we do and makes our special sauce so special. And that's making sure that we can account for the entire shopping trip. And it's not just purchases, it's returns. It's both online and offline. We serve tons of groups within a retailer now. So we've gone beyond just the relationships with the loss prevention departments that we've enjoyed for many years. We talk to operations, we talk to marketing. And now, as you can imagine, increasingly so, e-commerce teams, e-commerce fraud teams, as well as e-commerce customer-facing teams. And those e-commerce businesses are enjoying really a larger percentage of sales now that they've frankly been striving for many years, particularly as omnichannel has exploded. And we saw that kind of 5-year acceleration happen when the pandemic kicked in. But unfortunately, with that growth comes a whole new set of problems that they're looking for solutions for. And that's really where Appriss Retail steps in.
Wow. Well, it's absolutely great to have you here. I think Robin and I literally met you 3 years ago when you first started at Appriss Retail.
Yeah.
But not to toot your own horn, but I'm going to toot your own horn here because I have to mention that Appriss Retail was recognized as in the top 20 of all retail solution providers by RIS News. So RIS News, which creates their leaderboard publication, which is a very prestigious place to be. It's a study they do every year. And Appriss Retail ranked 14th on the main leaderboard and was listed as one of the top solution providers, get this, in 29 out of 50 categories, which is just
amazing.
Unbelievable. So I'm just going to highlight a few of the categories where you ranked exceptionally high in. Appriss Retail was ranked #1 in leaders in technology innovation, ranked #1 in leaders in return on investment, ranked #1 top vendor in customer satisfaction, ranked #2 in leaders in overall performance, leaders in software reliability, ranked #1 in leaders quality service, ranked #1 in leader quality of support. So can you tell us, were you surprised by all this recognition, and what are you doing going forward?
No, thanks for calling it out. And we were delighted when we saw the list. As you can imagine, it was our best showing on the leaderboard ever. But frankly, not surprised, very humbled. There's some fabulous categories there. And I think if I was to pick on a couple, it was actually the first two that you mentioned, the leaders in technology innovation and return on investment. Let me tell you why. We have to innovate to stay relevant. And our R&D in this past year, particularly fueled by the change in the industry dynamics as a result of the pandemic and the way omnichannel has grown, we've had to innovate. And we're really looking to the problems that we know the retailers are leaning into now as well. And Appriss Retail has been more relevant to the industry now than at any time before, given those industry dynamics that are out there. But the innovation takes a lot of time and energy, I admire my team's relentless efforts to continue to iterate on the ideas that we come up with. But that's what keeps us at the forefront of the businesses that we're in, because we are often having conversations with retailers about things they've started to think about, but we've already been thinking about as well. And as I think about return on investment, absolutely critical now. Our solutions have to deliver value. And I think the retailers now are having to think more closely than ever before for every dollar that they have to invest on any solution that's available to them. So that decision is important, and they have to tie that back to a return on that investment that they make. So we really pride ourselves on being able to achieve ROI each and every day. And we routinely look at ROI with our customers, and we have sessions where we look at the measurements and the performance of the tools. What's important is our products actually start to work from day one they're switched on. Whether it's finding a collusive cashier or a fraudulent return, ROI begins the day you start an engagement with Appriss Retail. So that's an important part of what we do, and I think it's one of the many reasons that we were listed in so many categories. So great to see us on that list.
Yeah, that's terrific. You guys really do a lot of things that are really in the right direction, in my opinion. So, but this whole topic on returns, Steve, and you know better than I, it really has accelerated kind of the negative issues surrounding it, especially since the beginning of e-commerce. And I know, Steve, that you and NRF conduct a survey each year, and according to the report, retailers expect more than $761 billion in merchandise sold last year to be returned by consumers, accounting for an average of 16.6% of total U.S. retail sales. That is absolutely astounding. But the best part of the report is the quote from you, which I will share with our listeners right now. You said, retailers must rethink returns as a key part of their business strategy. Retail is dealing with an influx of returned items. Now is the time to stop thinking of returns as a cost of doing business and begin to view them as a time to truly engage with your consumers. So tell us what you mean, Steve, about returns being an opportunity, okay, to engage with the customers.
No, absolutely. It's growing. And I think that the growth in omnichannel is what's fueling that. And as you saw, the report that we're very proud sponsors of, it's nearly 17% of things being returned. It's about $1 for every $6 or $7 spent. It's astonishing, frankly, as a number. And it grew. If you look at the prior year report, you'll see how quickly that's grown. Now, we kind of look at this. Returns are not bad or not just the cost of doing business, but they can, in fact, should be used as an opportunity to create a better customer experience. And that's the lens that we really started to look at within Appriss Retail and said, what is it that we can now do to help that, given the spotlight that's being shone on the retail space, on the return space? Now, when a shopper makes a return, think about it. Something's gone wrong. It either didn't fit, it was bad quality. There's numerous reasons why you have to return a product to a store. But firstly, it shouldn't be bad. Something has possibly or probably gone wrong with the shopper themselves in most instances. And often, as you can imagine, your best shoppers are the ones making the most returns. And you'll find that some retail policies are set to actually address the worst of the behaviors. So your best customers often get treated the worst. And that's one of the things that just is many of the things that is kind of upside down in the return space. We see it as a moment of truth. It's a moment to capture an opportunity to help a shopper spend the refunded dollars. And at Appriss Retail, we often use the word, a refund is the worst kind of a return. So you have to accept that returns are a fact of life. They happen and they will continue to happen. But you don't want the shopper leaving the retail store or the website with refunded dollars in their hand. So let's help them spend that money. We also know that shoppers are looking for a more seamless experience. They frankly they don't care how the retailer operates in their online world or their in-store world. They're engaging with the brand. So that seamless experience is something they're really expecting to have. But we too often see retailers still have rather siloed environments. E-commerce could be a separate business to the in-store world. The data could be siloed. In fact, they may even have different P&Ls and different consumer-facing teams. And all of that creates a lot of complexity for the retailer to actually give that seamless experience out there. We have a common data platform and a common ingestion methodology, and that gives us, I mentioned, that customer 360 view, which is critically important to leveraging all of the data points. The online, the online and in-store purchase and shopping behavior data is what we need to be able to do to help curate a better experience for the customer. And there was a recent BCG survey that we saw that it was saying that 92% of shoppers said they will buy again if the returns process is easy. And about 68% review the returns policy before they even make the purchase. So these are pretty high numbers in the grand scheme of things. But the statistic that jumps out for me all often when I look at this list is 79% won't purchase from an online store that charges for return shipping fees. And our customers have that expectation. They want free shipping, free returns. They want it all. And as omnichannel has grown, the complexity of the problems that the retailers have to deal with and the cost impact it's having on them is really starting to cause a lot more pain. And these factors that I've mentioned here, plus many, many more, is what's fueling the whole returns landscape and really increasing the need for solutions to address these problems.
Steve, you are right on when you talk about the returns process and how retailers should be really viewing this aspect of the business. And your point about the unified commerce, the shared data, is so critically important. And from a consumer perspective, there's a good article from First Insights, which about returns, which actually used your report. And it talks a little bit about wardrobing and grappling with sizes. And it's really, first, it's really interesting that so many companies turn to Appriss Retail to get the information and data about returns and make decisions off of that. It's really like a hallmark of the industry. Anyway, the point being, the causes of kind of runway returns, which is wardrobing, the practice where consumers will order 3 or 4 of an item and they return all but one, that's an issue. And obviously a more common problem in the industry is grappling with sizes. That's what the article talks about. And that is, you know, one company's medium might be another company's small, and that's always been a challenge. So I know you believe in other areas of the business or friction points where Appriss Retail helps make experiences better. So if you could kind of touch upon first, maybe return fraud. I know this is growing concern for retailers, especially with the growth of organized retail crime. Robin and I did a podcast a couple weeks ago called The Dark Side of Online Marketplaces. So maybe you can touch upon that as well.
No, indeed. No, you're quite right. You make some great points. And we're now focused more on helping retailers engage better with consumers to make the return alongside always that preventing that fraud. So there's a double opportunity here for Appriss Retail. We actually help curate a better experience, and we're always looking for that fraudulent or poor behavior. And we've been talking to retailers about this for quite a few years, but largely their focus was often on building out their e-commerce business, and sometimes at any cost. It really was an opportunity for retailers to really see a whole new channel. And guess what? The great news is it's now there. Their omnichannel and e-commerce businesses have grown, they've scaled. But the pain points that we've really been talking to them about were previously too small to make the agenda. They recognize them as a problem, but there was a lot of other priorities for retailers to work through, which we get. But those problems now are very real and very present, and that's really where we're leaning into. And more importantly, our customers are actually talking to us about this, saying, hey, we know you've mentioned this before, can you? And the answer is absolutely. This is exactly what we're doing today. Omnichannel has increased the number of risk points. So when you think about an online purchase, and you mentioned a couple of points there, Shelley, very right. Online orders are 3 to 5 times more likely to be returned than the equivalent product if purchased in store. And people are buying more stuff. They'll buy 3 pairs of shoes, knowing they're going to return 2 of them. And when you think of the average cost of shipping, it's about $10 per direction per item. If you buy 3 pairs of shoes and keep 2 and send 2 back, if it's a $100 pair of shoes and you've done that, you've actually cost the retailer $50 in shipping. You've taken all the margin away. And this is the perfect example of the types of things that retailers are wrestling with. In-store is easy. The customer's typically standing in front of you. It is a one-to-one relationship. They hand the product to you, say, I don't want it, here's the reason why. And they deal with the customer, and it's a fairly straightforward transaction. But that online piece just adds so much more complexity and risk. And bad actors, as we call them, the people doing the things they shouldn't be doing, look at all those opportunities as a way to defraud the retailer. Now, of that NRF number you quoted, 761 billion in returns, 78 billion is fraudulent. Wow. That is a stunning number.
Wow.
And really, the opportunity to help retailers lower that number is where we get up each and every day to try and help our customers. But the frauds are many. You kind of picked on a couple there, Shelley, and I think that let's think of a few examples of things like customers claiming for an online order, saying they didn't receive it, or returning a different product in the box than the one they got. By the time the product has got back to a distribution point, someone opens it and frankly finds a brick or something in the box. And this happens. Unfortunately, this happens. The customer's long gone. The fraud has been committed and they've gone. Now, the problem is that bad actors, I guess the stupidity is they do this over and over again. They find a loophole and they keep doing it. And the frequency with which they do it allows us to find them. But more importantly, help the retailer stop that behavior. And that's the important part of what we're really doing. We've also got shoppers who abuse the policies. That's the other one. And you perfectly picked up it with your fashion retail background, Shelley. Wardrobing is the perfect example. And the one I often share with friends and family when I explain the kinds of things we're doing is think of a shopper who buys an expensive pair of sunglasses on a Friday afternoon. They wear them to a wedding on Saturday. They look good. They impress their friends. Then on Monday morning, back to the store to return it. Now, sunglasses are a pretty easy product to do that with. Now, the problem is that doing it once is perhaps a mistake, or maybe wasn't intentional. Maybe they really didn't like the product and wanted to return it. But if you do it over and over again, you are really abusing the retailer's returns policy with you. And importantly, you're costing the retailer money. And that's just not a good thing. And that's where, again, we help retailers find these instances and reduce or even hopefully eliminate the frequency with which that occurs.
Yeah, Steve, it's incredible how this is happening, and it is getting worse. And they need your kind of information and knowledge in this area to be able to turn it into some kind of an opportunity. And I know you said, when it's in store, the return situation is a bit easier. But so how do you synchronize all of the information together in some way, and how can embracing returns help omnichannel retailers engage better with their best shoppers?
Yeah. No, that's the problem we wrestle with every day, and we see it both bricks and mortar stores and online stores together. It's both. That is the description of omnichannel retail. So let me give you an example. Best way I can bring this to life. Let's pretend I'm a golf fan. Let's pretend I've ordered golf shoes online and I have them delivered to my house, but wrong size. Perhaps I don't like them. I'm going to take them back to the store because I perhaps want to trade it in for a different size that they hopefully have got. Now, that's obviously for me extra work. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to find time out of my day to go and do that. But when I get to the store, what I don't want the store to do is give me a refund and let me go find some golf shoes elsewhere. But hopefully they've got the product in stock that I want, and you can do that by kind of real-time inventory. Give me the confidence to go to the store that no, they have the correct size in place, and I can actually make an exchange, or perhaps I can get a refund and I can then think about buying a different product. But again, don't let me leave the store with my refund in dollars. So there's your moment of truth. I'm standing in the store. I've made the effort to get to the store. Give me some form of incentive to shop there. And one of the things that we do very successfully is curate an offer using AI that's taking that customer 360 view that I talked about to give me an offer. In this example, I haven't bought a golf shirt for quite some time, but I routinely do. Maybe once a year I buy myself a new golf shirt. Now is the moment to capture me. So let me dip my refund on the shoes, but maybe offer me the opportunity to go and buy a golf shirt. Perhaps even spend more money with an offer that's perhaps 1% off or a discount of an absolute dollar value that allows me to go and spend it in the store. Timestamp it, make it available for the next 2 hours. So I really have an impetus to go and spend it. But equally, if you know that I'm an online shopper, which in this case I am because I've ordered the product online, let's pretend it's 5 minutes from closing time for the store. Clearly my opportunity to spend that offer is limited by the store closing. So why not give me an offer that will send me online tonight when I get home? So I get home, so spend this before midnight. You get 20% off a golf shirt. The AI and data analytics to be able to do that is really where the opportunity lies. And that's really what we pride ourselves in terms of the data science, doing that magic to find new categories of opportunity. It also could be products I like buying often or that I don't buy at all, but that you think are relevant to me. And that's the important part. The relevancy of the offer is going to be very important. We've also seen our retailers talk about things like, can we clear end of season inventory? If we know a store's got a lot of it, absolute perfect opportunity to encourage a customer to go and look at the clearance racks and go spend their money there. And it doesn't have to be a dollar value. It could be a message. It could be a free coffee if you're in a department store that has a coffee department, or loyalty points. Give the consumer something. Now, remember, this is something of value. It's kind of thanking them for their time, but also it's maximizing the sale on the return opportunity there that the retailer has. Now, we often see, because of the relevancy of that interaction, the redemption rates are incredible. We see redemption rates north of 15, 20%, and sometimes plus. Now, if you compare that to, say, paper-based coupons in the retail industry that are 1 or 2% at best, very strong redemption rates. So we know it's something that works. And finally, what we call the purchase after return behavior. You see a longitudinal effect of customers 30, 60, 90 days after that has happened, because that experience was good. There is a certain amount of measurable benefit that you see from shoppers coming into store because you actually left them on their last trip with a really great experience that's likely to bring them back. And the viralness of that, to be able to tell your friends, hey, guess what the retailer did for me, is powerful. So it's a great place that we work with. And that to us is the true way of really helping in an omnichannel environment and capitalizing on that moment of truth with the consumer when they're making a return.
Wow, I just love your whole view of the returns process. It's just completely different. And I don't know why every single retailer isn't using Appriss Retail to make some of these amazing, changes in how they are addressing and looking at returns. So I kind of want to shift gears a little bit. I am a huge fan. I absolutely love your marketing campaign, Said No Executive Ever. It's very cheeky, it's very fun, albeit it's so true. So I want to ask how this came about. But before I do that, for our listeners, let me just give them a couple examples of the marketing. So for example, quote, managing omni-channel returns is easy, unquote, said no retail executive ever. And here's another one, quote, returns are the best part of shopping, unquote, said no shopper ever.
No, it was a great campaign. And I talked about the innovation that we've been doing and how our Engage solution really has come about through the innovation and the industry dynamics. And we said, as we launch Engage and really start to get some momentum going on this, we needed some kind of campaign to bring this to bear. And I think just one of those kind of fun sessions when you're working with your creative agency and they look at some campaigns, and when they presented those and we said, that is fun. It is ridiculously relevant. And we created personas of the target audience that we wanted to reach. And it wasn't just maybe the more traditional buyer. I mentioned earlier that we talk to lots of groups now within retail. And when we look at the kind of 4 key areas, and we said, let's create those statements relative to a marketing person, a finance person, an operations person, and a loss prevention person. All of those people are real great stakeholders that we work closely with, but all of them could easily create those statements and would smile when they said it, going, yeah, it's true. And my favorite one is that, I love seeing returns pile up at the returns desk, said no customer service desk clerk ever. And it's true. You look at any element of what we do, we were absolutely able to create one of those kind of fun moments there. Now, the campaign itself was great. We got great click-through rates. It started to appear in different places. And at NRF this year, we decorated our booth with that creative imagery. And actually, people commented on it. They're like, that's funny. I get it. It's true. So we actually had a board up at the booth where we allow people to write their own version. So we got some great and creative new ones that we hadn't even thought of. But the campaign was itself, it worked. We did it because we wanted results. The click-through numbers were terrific. And it really helped fuel our marketing to really reach new places that we hadn't reached before. One of the other components that we developed as well was a calculator. It's on our website, which you can go take a look at. And it allows you to very quickly plug in your sales in store and online and your return rate and a couple of other factors. And it allows you to very quickly see the amount of dollars that Appriss Retail can help you save. Clearly directional numbers, but it's off the foundation of a lot of experience in this space. So the campaign unto itself was fun. It created results for us and it got people talking about us and helped us position ourselves as a really a very serious player in the omnichannel return space with the credibility and capability to actually serve retailers. So it's been a lot of fun and thank you for recognizing.
Yeah, I share Shelley's opinion. I think it's a really great marketing campaign and very provocative. So I guess a little kudo would go to your agency or whoever is helping you do that. It's a great marketing campaign.
Indeed. Shout out to the guys at Kingfish Media.
Yeah. So, Yeah, who we met a while ago.
Indeed.
Anyway, Shelley and I also have been talking about a lot about retailers needing to be really agile. That's kind of like the operative word for the 21st century, I think. Agile and resilient, obviously in this uncertain, and as we've been talking, constantly changing market. So can you provide your view on this topic and maybe discuss the challenges of omnichannel retailing?
Yes.
And what technologies are helping to drive retail excellence?
Yeah, indeed. No, it's something which I constantly think about. I've been in retail for 3+ decades now, and there's always a new set of challenges to be working on or thinking about. It's an industry that constantly changes, and unfortunately, it's generally slow to move. I know that. I've been a retailer in 3 or 4 different retail businesses. It's a 24/7 business. It's got a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of things to prioritize. So I understand it. That's frustrating when it's not moving at perhaps the pace you want it to move at. But today's retail environment really presents new challenges there, more perhaps than any other period of time in the past, in the way that it's changing. And those things, we can see those now. We read about them every day. Supply chain issues, for very different reasons, are occurring and impacting their business. There's new technology. There's managing those e-commerce platforms, whether you're still trying to build it and scale it or deal with the problems as a result of building and scaling it. Solving that last mile of delivery. Plus all the increased customer expectations, because they have such a number of different ways that they can shop, and apps and different services. All of those are creating a whole breadth of new competitors for people to worry about. But the one thing that I have always said is you have to listen to your shopper. And what we're trying to do is to help our retail customers get the best and give the customers a great engagement and a great experience. If you do that, it's probably the number one thing that's going to help you retain them and grow your share of wallet with that particular shopper. I've mentioned it a couple of times already. Central to that is that 360 view of shopper. Understand what they buy and what they return online and in store, and look for every interaction point within that experience. Now, our Engage product is really a web service. It means that it's providing a recommendation for a shopper based on 2 things. One is the context. Where are they? In store, online? Whereabouts in that process are they? And what are they trying to do? Are they trying to make a purchase? Are they trying to make a return? Are they making a return and you want them to go and make a purchase? Do you want to send them to a different channel? So those 2 important components you can do really well when you understand the customer 360 view. You can also look at things like how they pay. They may have a preferred way of payment. And of course, with the increase in self-checkout and mobile pay, there's a whole number of other factors that you can bring into the 360 view of the shopper. And it might also be things like seeing the growth of curbside pickup. When they order perhaps their groceries and they're pulling up to a store, or when they want to make a returned product they purchased online to a store location. It could be dropped off curbside with some retailers now, or taken to a service desk. So all that contextual data is going to be important to curate a better experience for them. We also see a lot more now engagement with things like call centers, because online orders often create a situation that needs to be solved, and they will phone a call center for a lost or a damaged product or to get something reshipped. Again, it's another moment of an opportunity where all of that data needs to be looked at together in order to make the next best decision for the retailer to maximize the sale, reduce any profit leakage, and give the consumer a really great experience. Now, I've mentioned our Engage solution a couple of times. It interacts in real time, and we work very closely with our retail customers, because we got to help them solve some of these more, and I'll say, frustrating problems as well as complex problems. And I've mentioned the key word there, real time. We have a lot of experience in that area, and most importantly, to be able to use data that's literally just occurred. It's not uncommon for a customer to buy a product in a store, walk outside, and suddenly in the bright sunlight realize it's not quite the color they thought, and they come back round and return it. You have to have real-time data in order to be able to process that well, because customers can behave very, very erratically. You'd expect them to go home and return it a couple of days later. Not always true. So that example just says the importance of real-time data, and the quality of using real-time data is what helps us curate a much better experience. So for me, it's really less about using new technology, really more about partly because there's a ton of new technology out there. We saw that at NRF. It's lanes and aisles of new technology that's there. But really for us, it's how you use the data to create a meaningful and impactful experience on your shoppers to help really the retailer grow the top line, protect from that fraud, and create the better experience. So yeah, a lot of good technology out there, don't get me wrong, but we pride ourselves on what we're doing with the data as a result of that technology, which is really the secret sauce for Appriss Retail.
You know, Steve, that last point you just made is so spot on. And I must say that a lot of the industry doesn't really understand that point about it's not the data and how much of it you have, the information. It is how you use it and how you analyze it, which is the most difficult and the most important part of it.
Yeah.
You know, I've often said that we are kind of choking on data, but starving for knowledge, right? Or how to use it. So Steve, what can we expect from Appriss Retail in the future? What's coming up next?
Yeah, it's something which I guess my role requires me to think a lot about. I mentioned it earlier, and that's innovation. I mean, the engaged solution tackles a lot of the omnichannel problems that we have today, but there's so many other problems I think we can solve for. So when we look at that ecosystem of problems that's there, we can't do everything all the time. It's just too difficult to do as a business. So we have to pick the right things to do. But interestingly, as we do R&D, some of that R&D is fueled for us by retailers and having a conversation, and they'll actually have an area of interest that's more important to them, that's actually helped us go look at, more importantly, my best example, that's on claims fraud. Really, the problem was brought to us by one of our customers, and we said, absolutely, we can help you. And very quickly with our data, able to realize that actually there was a very important problem to be solved that we know we can share with a number of other customers in the future as well. Because we're blessed with such a large customer base across so many different retail channels. And we call it collective intelligence. That data visibility that we see allows us to stay on the forefront of understanding what's impacting retailers and their shoppers. That's an important part for us, but that's really what kind of fuels the innovation. I think you can also count on us for more of the many things that you saw on the leaderboard that Shelley drew attention to and acknowledged for. We're constantly always striving to deliver value to all of our customers on all of our solutions. So that's an expectation going forward. That's what you'll get by working with Appriss Retail. And we do see ourselves as a strategic partner. We're not just a vendor. We see ourselves in multi-year relationships with a lot of our customers. We never take that for granted. We know it has to be earned, and we work hard each and every day. And our new customers that just join us can expect exactly the same treatment. And for me, that's what makes a good company great. And that's what we always plan to be, both now and in the future.
Yeah, amen. That's what makes companies great. I totally agree with you. So, Steve, Appriss Retail Commerce really could not be more timely.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially regarding the returns issue, which just continues to drive the industry. It's true because I get around, more often than not, I will hear that some of the major pain to the consumer, hey, just keep the thing. They don't want to send it back.
Yeah.
So, it's, anyway, we'll replace it with the correct item. But now, you guys are able to advise retailers as to how to flip that problem on its head, really, and how to turn it into an opportunity.
It is.
Right? To get even closer and more engaged with consumers. I mean, your examples of, the in-store thing, I thought was terrific. So anyway, once again, Steve, thanks so much for your profound work, really.
Absolutely.
And the great learning experience we have all had today.
Terrific. Yes, thank you. It's been a pleasure to talk about something which is, I think you can tell we're very passionate and excited about. We obviously do a lot of work in the exception-based reporting world as well, so nothing we've really touched on today. But for those folks that are unfamiliar with Appriss Retail, please go take a look at our website. You can get in touch with us that way at aprissretail.com. It's been a real pleasure this afternoon to talk with you guys. Thank you.
Well, Steve, I
Thank you.
literally could spend all day talking shop with you. I always walk away from conversations smarter after having spent time with you. So really great conversation today. And for our listeners, you can find more of our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and therobinreport.com. And please look for us on YouTube, where we upload our broadcast there as well. Follow us on social media. Please link in with us and follow us on Twitter for the latest thoughts about the industry.
And one big last thank you for all of our listeners and viewers on YouTube. And by the way, if any of you out there have some topics that you've been thinking about and would like Shelley and I to cover some, on one of our podcasts, please don't hesitate to email me at robin@therobinreport.com. And Steve, once again, thank you so much. It was
Pleasure.
great.
Thank you. Thank you.